Alright, let's dive deep into the heart of the blue half of Glasgow. Because the buzz around Ibrox right now is absolutely electric. There's a serious move brewing behind the scenes. And it could be one of the most significant deals of the summer. For Rangers, with Russell Martin determined to leave his mark on this squad piece by piece, he's sculpting a team that not only reflects his footballing philosophy, but also sends a clear message. To rivals, Rangers are coming with intent. And this latest development, it's exactly that, intent, big, bold, and full of ambition. After weeks of swirling rumors, whispers across training grounds, and rival clubs circling like hawks, it looks like the Light Blues have surged ahead in a race that's had the entire British football scene watching closely. We're talking about one of the most hyped-up young prospects in the country, a player many believe is destined for greatness, and now he's close to calling Ibrox home. That's not just a statement of ambition, it's a potential game-changer. Because when a teenager like Mikey Moore, hailed as Tottenham's brightest academy jewel in years, looks set to make the switch north, it's not just a loan deal, it's a message. A message that Rangers aren't just rebuilding, they're reloading. Now let's not get it twisted. This isn't some routine youth loan move that'll get lost in the shuffle. From everything coming out of both camps, this is a calculated, high-stakes, higher-word scenario for everyone involved. For Mikey Moore, it's a chance to show he can handle the pressure of senior football in a stadium packed with expectation week in and week out. For Russell Martin, it's another weapon in the arsenal, another injection of pace and unpredictability on the wings. And for the Rangers faithful, it's a glimpse into a potentially electrifying future. And what a summer it's shaping up to be. Martin's already shown he's not messing about. He wants energy. He wants flair. He wants that ruthless creativity up top that can unlock defenses and put teams to the sword. The arrival of J.D. Gasimer has already added some much-needed spark to the flanks. Finlay Curtis, a gem from the academy, has been catching eyes and turning heads with every preseason touch, especially after that cracker of a goal against Panathinaikos. So when you throw Mikey Moore into the mix, that's not just adding depth. That's fueling real competition. That's building something scary for any defense in Scotland to face. But this move didn't come easy. Rangers have had to fend off serious interest from clubs across the English Championship. Birmingham, Charlton, West Brom, Coventry, they all came knocking. They all saw the same thing, a 17-year-old with the kind of close control vision and raw confidence that's rarely seen at that age. But what they didn't have was Ibrox. What they couldn't offer was that stage. The roar, the pressure, the Champions League qualifiers, the tenacity of Scottish football. And that's what Moore wants. He's not coming here to coast. He's coming to prove himself. And look, there's a reality here that makes things even more interesting. Curtis, who's just a year older, is already showing he belongs. He's producing, he's performing, and he's clearly earned the trust of the manager. So now the question becomes, does Russell Martin try to balance both? Can he find a way to develop two of the brightest young wingers on the island? Give them minutes, responsibility, and real chances to shine, because if he pulls that off, Rangers fans might just find themselves watching the birth of a golden generation out wide. Meanwhile, another storyline has started to unfold, and it's one that's got plenty of fans talking. Jack Butland, after a rocky patch, is showing serious signs of resurgence. His return to the starting 11, capped with some key saves in the Champions League clash against Panathinaikos, was a reminder of why he was once England's #1. At Trinity Doys, he's not exactly a veteran past his prime. He's a goalkeeper in that perfect sweet spot between experience and agility. And from his own words, the fire is still very much there. Butland's been brutally honest about his journey. He's admitted it hasn't been smooth sailing. Losing his spot to Liam Kelly last season was a bitter pill. The scrutiny, the questions, the doubts, they all came. But what separates good professionals from great ones is how they respond. And Butland didn't run. He didn't point fingers. He didn't retreat. He doubled down. He stuck around. And when the time came, he stepped up. That's character. That's the mentality you want in your dressing room. Now he's speaking like a man on a mission, saying he feels sharp, fit, and confident, like he's found that belief again. Call it swagger, call it confidence, call it whatever you like, but what matters is this. He wants to be here. He believes he belongs at Rangers. And with the way he's performed in the early matches of preseason, he's got a real shot at making that #1 shirt his again. Not by default, not by favor, but by form. But even with all the excitement around the attack and the return of Butland, the transfer window waits for no one. And just when things were beginning to settle, a new twist has emerged, this time involving Oliver Antman. The 23-year-old Finnish forward had an absolute breakout year in the Dutch Eredivisie. lighting up the league with 15 assists. That kind of creative output is rare, and it's no surprise Rangers are circling. The go-ahead Eagles know what they've got, and they're not letting him go cheap. A reported asking price north of £5 million has been floated, but for a player of his age profile and productivity, that could end up looking like a bargain. But here's the kicker: despite the flurry of reports suggesting a deal was close, sources in the Netherlands are saying otherwise. No bid, no agreement, nothing concrete on the table yet. That won't sit well with some of the fan base, especially those who were hoping Ant-Man would be next through the door, but it's not over. Far from it, Rangers are still in the mix. The interest is real, and the club knows that adding a player with Ant-Man's creativity could take the attack to another level entirely. So where does that leave us with one foot in a new era, and the other still planted in the fire of the transfer market? Russell Martin's vision is becoming clearer with each passing day. He's not just building a team for the present, he's constructing a squad that can grow, evolve, and challenge on multiple fronts. Youth, energy, and hunger are the foundations, and the pieces being brought in reflect that. Whether it's Mikey Moore looking to make a name, J.D. Gasimer stepping up, or Ant-Man potentially on the horizon, what we're witnessing right now isn't just a summer of transfers, it's the start of something bigger at Rangers. Something that could define not just a season but an entire era at Ibrox. And if these deals come off, if the talent on paper translates to performances on the pitch, then the rest of Scottish football better be ready, because the Bears are building something and it's starting to look special. And remember, this is only the beginning of the rebuild. The window is still wide open, the rumors are far from quiet, and Russell Martin doesn't seem like a man satisfied with what he's already got. More names will come, more stories will unfold, but one thing's clear: the energy is back, the ambition is back, and maybe, just maybe, something big is brewing in the blue side of Glasgow. And while the buzz around Mikey Moore and Oliver Ant-Man has dominated headlines, the real story here, the one you can feel in the atmosphere around Ibrox, is that sense of transformation. It's not just names being added to a squad list. It's not just about contracts or loan clauses or optional fees. It's about shifting a mentality. Russell Martin knows he's walking into a club with history carved into every brick of the stadium, but history alone doesn't win matches. What does identity, direction, purpose? And if you listen closely to how Martin speaks, if you watch how the squad's evolving with every passing session, you'll notice something different. There's intensity again, not just in the pressing drills or attacking transitions, but in the players' eyes, a sharpness, a hunger. Even the training clips, small things sure, but they tell you a lot. There's banter sure, but there's also bite. There's leadership emerging in places that went quiet last season. Butland's one, for example. Back in the fold, gloves on, eyes up, barking orders. Ryan Jack as well, rallying the lads, keeping standards high, and now with fresh blood arriving, that energy multiplies. You see, this isn't just a footballing rebuild, it's a culture reset. It's Martin saying, I know where this club's been, but I'm more focused on where we're going. And that resonates. Fans can feel it, whether you're sitting in the Govan stand or halfway across the world watching on a dodgy stream. You can sense the pieces falling into place, slowly, methodically, but deliberately. Now what happens next will test that plan to its core. Because as Rangers edge closer to sealing Moore's loan and continue to weigh up the Ant-Man situation, the fixture list doesn't wait, neither does the Champions League. That second leg in Athens looms large, and while a 2-0 advantage is solid, anyone who's followed Rangers in Europe knows not to get too comfortable. Panathinaikos at home are a different beast, and the Greek atmosphere can turn hostile in a heartbeat. But if there's a silver lining, it's that Martin appears to have this group focused. No complacency, no premature celebrations, just task by task, game by game, and the lads seem to be buying in. You saw that in the first leg, the tempo, the control. That high press in the first 20 minutes, it strangled the Greeks. Finlay Curtis might be young, might be green, but the way he chased every ball, like his life depended on it, that's a manager's dream. Gasimer, quick feet, dangerous delivery, already looking like a fan favorite in the making. And it's not just about youth, it's about balance. You've got senior players stepping up, pushing standards, and now with a more coherent tactical plan. They're not just running, they're running with purpose. That's a massive shift from last season, where, let's be honest, too many games felt reactive. Too many performances lack structure. And while it's early days, you can already see the difference. Full-backs overlapping with intention, midfield triangles forming, players communicating. There's cohesion again. Still, fans aren't daft. They know 1 or 2 good showings don't make a season. And there's no pretending the job is done, not even close. The squad still needs depth. There are questions over the striker position. Will Desser step up? Will Danilo finally hit his rhythm after injury setbacks, or could a surprise addition still be on the cards before the window shuts? Those are fair concerns, because as much as the wings are being rebuilt with flair, someone's got to finish the chances. Someone's got to be that clinical edge. And let's talk about the midfield for a moment, because that's where the battles will be won or lost this season. Lundstrom's exit has left a noticeable hole, not just in physicality but in presence. He was never everyone's favorite, but when he was on it, he controlled tempo. He broke up play. So now the question becomes, who steps into that role? Nico Raskin, he's got the engine, no doubt, and when he's healthy and focused, he can dictate a game. But can he do it consistently across a brutal campaign of league matches, cup ties, and European nights? Time will tell. And then there's the wild card. Kieran Dawell, injured much of last year, frustratingly so, but on his day a proper baller. Good touch, excellent vision, and not afraid to shoot from distance. If Martin can unlock that version of Dawell, he might just become a critical cog in this machine. And let's not forget Todd Cantwell, the swagger, the technique. When he's dialed in, few in Scotland can touch him technically. The key is keeping him fit, focused, and surrounded by the right pieces. But none of this works without steel, without grit. And that's where guys like Dujon Sterling and Connor Goldson come in. They bring that old school toughness, that bite that makes opponents second-guess themselves. You need that in Scottish football. Flair's fine, but on a rainy night at Tynecastle or a scrappy derby at Pittodrie, it's the fighters who shine, and Martin knows that. That's why recruitment isn't just about talent, it's about character. About bringing in lads who'll roll up their sleeves when it matters most. And speaking of recruitment, let's circle back to Oliver Antman, because that deal, if it happens, could be a real turning point. A player like that doesn't just add quality, he adds unpredictability. With 15 assists last season, he's not just a chance creator, he's a game changer. He's someone defenders can't switch off against, and in Europe that's priceless. But here's the kicker, you've got to get the deal right. No panic buys, no overspending, just smart targeted moves. And if reports are true that no bid has yet been made, maybe, just maybe, Rangers are playing the long game here, waiting, watching, making sure the timing and the price are both right. In the meantime, every session counts. Every preseason friendly is another chance to test combinations, to build chemistry. And for young lads like Curtis and Robbie Fraser, it's priceless experience. They're not just filling in, they're pushing, making decisions harder for the manager. That's how a squad grows. That's how a club evolves, from within and without. What we're witnessing right now is the early sketch of a new blueprint. A Rangers side that blends youth with experience, grit with guile, fire with flair. And while there's still plenty of work to be done in the market, on the pitch, and behind the scenes, there's no denying the shift. You can feel it. You can hear it in the songs before kickoff. You can see it in the training footage. This isn't just another rebuild. It feels like the start of something more meaningful. But football is cruel like that. One bad performance, one slip-up in Athens, and the noise changes. That's the reality. That's the weight of the badge. And Martin knows it. He's not shying away from it. He's walking into it with eyes wide open. Because at Rangers, it's not about top six. It's not about respectability. It's about winning. About lifting silverware. About nights under the lights that go down in club folklore. And if Moore arrives as expected, if Antman follows, if Curtis keeps rising, and if Butland rediscovers his finest form, then who knows, this season could be the one where everything clicks. Where promise turns to performance. Where noise turns to trophies. Now let's not get ahead of ourselves, because in Glasgow, hype's a dangerous thing. One big result and folk are talking trebles, legacies, and European runs. One bad half of football and it all comes crashing down like a house of cards. That's the reality of playing for a club like Rangers. The expectations are constant and there's nigh hiding from them. And Russell Martin, despite being new to the hot seat, seems to understand that better than most. You can hear it in the way he talks, calm, assured, but never naive. He's not here for a project. He's here for results. And those results won't come easy, no matter how bright the youngsters look or how tidy the recruitment has been. This league doesn't hand out points on promise. And while the gap with Celtic remains the elephant in the room, there's a different kind of pressure on Rangers this season. Not just to compete, but to reassert identity. The kind of identity where every player that pulls on that shirt knows exactly what it means, not in theory, in practice. 90 minutes of pressing, chasing, tackling. 1 goal up or 1 goal down, the attitude has to be the same, relentless. That's where the mentality shift starts. You can talk all day about tactics, formations, false nines, and inverted fullbacks. But if the lads don't run, if they don't show up with a bit of fire in the belly, none of it matters. And this is where Martin might just have the edge, because he's not just coaching, he's connecting, building trust, getting buy-in from the dressing room, from the academy, from the fans. That's what leadership looks like. Not screaming on the touchline, not throwing players under the bus, but creating an environment where standards speak for themselves, and part of that culture is trusting youth. That's a massive shift from what we've seen in past seasons, where some of the most promising talents were left to rot on the bench or sent on uninspiring loans. Now lads like Curtis Kelly-Rice, they're being brought into the fold early. Not just to fill shirts, but to contribute. You can tell the club's serious about this. The conversations about pathways are no longer just lip service. They're part of the actual plan, but still development needs patience. And in a club like Rangers, patience is a scarce commodity. Supporters want to see the next Barry Ferguson, the next Alan Hutton, yesterday, but even the best take time. That's why Martin's job is such a delicate one. He has to balance minutes with results. He has to manage expectations while still demanding excellence. He has to protect the young players from the noise while challenging them to rise above it. And make no mistake, that pressure builds fast, especially if results don't come right away. That's why the opening stretch of the season could be absolutely pivotal. You get a strong start, you build momentum, you settle the nerves. But drop points early, maybe against a side you're expected to beat, and suddenly the headlines write themselves. That's just how it works up here. Fair or not, it's the standard. And honestly, that's what makes Rangers what it is. If you can't handle the heat, this is not the club for you. And as for the board, well, they've made a statement backing Martin, not just with words, but with recruitment, with structure, and with some long overdue modernization. The football operations have clearly taken a step forward. Analytics are in play. Scouting has gone broader. The kind of signings being targeted are younger, hungrier, and more technical than some of the stopgap veterans we've seen in years past. That's encouraging. That's a sign of vision. But now comes the next step, proving that vision on the pitch. Because the only currency that matters in football is results. You win games, you earn time. You drop too many and the goodwill evaporates faster than a pint on Derby Day. So every game now becomes a chance, not just for points, but for validation, for belief, for building that story fans can get behind. And you know what the fans want to believe, even the most skeptical voices on social media. Deep down, they're desperate to see this work, because no one wants another false dawn. No one wants another season of what-ifs. They want nights at Ibrox where the lights feel brighter, where the roar is louder, and where the football on the pitch matches the passion in the stands. They want heroes again. They want to believe that lads like Curtis and Gasimer, and maybe even Mikey Moore, for however long he's here, can create moments they'll talk about for years. That's the magic of this club. It's built on memory and myth, on stories passed down and new ones waiting to be written. Every signing, every debut, every late goal, it all becomes part of the fabric. And this season, with all its uncertainty and promise, could be the beginning of a new chapter. Not a repeat of the past, but a fresh, fearless future. So buckle in. Because whatever happens, success or setbacks, one thing's certain: this season won't be boring. Not with the stakes this high, not with a club this proud, not with a fan base this passionate. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. There's a growing rumble south of the border that could soon shake the Ibrox corridors. Word out of West London suggests that Chelsea's teenage sensation, Reggie Walsh, might be packing his boots and heading north to join Rangers, a move that would certainly raise eyebrows across both English and Scottish football. Still just 17, Walsh has already turned heads by becoming one of Chelsea's youngest ever debutants. The midfielder, who joined the Blues Academy aged 7, took his first senior steps in a high-pressure UEFA Conference League semi-final against Jurgardens earlier this year. That cameo alone was enough to get scouts and analysts whispering about his potential, but when he started the return leg just a week later, at only 16 years and 200 days, he didn't just impress. He made history, surpassing even the likes of Shim Muka in the Chelsea record books. Walsh stamped his name as the youngest starter for the club in European competition. Now, whispers around Stamford Bridge suggest that the next stage in Walsh's development might not involve waiting patiently in the shadows of Chelsea's crowded midfield. Instead, a loan spell, or even a more permanent path, could lie north of the border. Rangers, known for giving young English talent the platform to shine, are believed to be keeping a close eye. With the departures of seasoned midfielders and an emphasis on revitalizing the squad with energy and promise, the timing may be perfect. While nothing has been confirmed and both clubs remain tight-lipped, the notion of Wolves swapping the Premier League for the Scottish Premiership isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. The player is understood to be eager for regular minutes, and with Rangers competing in Europe themselves, the platform would remain grand, if a touch less pressu or ised. For now, it's just talk. But talk often has a way of turning into something more in football. Rangers fans might want to keep an eye on this one. The next midfield gem could be just around the corner. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.